must confess there's a lot of positive news that is coming out of the banking scene. So I'd like us to very quickly give an overview of the performance of the sector in 2014.
Yeah, I think if you look at the numbers that, though not yet published, but indicating the performance for 2014,
right.
I think one of the things that comes out is the fact that there was an uptick of credit compared to 2013, 2014. There's a significant increase in terms of the uptake of credit, and especially the indication that that credit was being directed to the productive sectors of the economy.
Right.
The other thing was that partly the reason why this uptake of credit was seen is measures that were taken up by the banking industry in partnership with the regulator,
right.
and the National Treasury in terms of addressing the issue of the cost of credit.
Right. I'd like us to focus a little bit on the cost of credit in the country. You've mentioned one of the positive things, the introduction of the KBRR rate, and we had just in recent past it was lowered, and obviously this is good news for the borrower because they have a more clearer way of getting to make that decision of where to borrow. A lot of concern has also been coming, and people are saying maybe it's time for banks to look at other innovative ways of income other than interest income. What's your take on that?
Actually, in fact, it's already happening. If you look at most of the banks, and especially if you look at the macro picture of the banking sector, you'll see that the non-interest income grows faster than the interest income,
right.
Which means that banks are beginning to provide services other than just providing credit.
Correct.
And therefore most of the revenue is now moving away from just interest income to other areas of service provision where they provide other services, to the consumers.
Yes.
Other than just credit.
What will be top of mind? What will be some of these areas that banks may be looking at as alternative sources of income?
Trade facilitation is one that comes to mind in terms of facilitating the productive sectors of the economy in terms of importing,
right.
In terms of facilitating the export, which is a short-term facilitation, and through that banks will normally tend to charge fees rather than providing the credit.
Right.
Things like, for example, mobilizing resources on behalf of their corporate clients,
right.
Be it through the capital markets or other avenues. Those are avenues through which banks will provide a service and charge a fee instead of providing credit to charge interest rate for the amount, for the period that the amount is outstanding.
Obviously, when you talked about 2014 earlier on, every analyst looking at the numbers was saying the Kenyan banking sector is very resilient, has been posting very good numbers, and perhaps this led to some frenzy in terms of expanding into the region. There are concerns that probably we're expanding too fast and spreading ourselves too thin. Your comment on that?
Actually, it is in terms of expanding into the region. With the EAC integration coming about, and the fact that it now makes very little difference whether you're in Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, and also the need for basically taking the services. Yes. to the consumers down there, and the level of financial inclusion in those countries basically has had an effect of pulling the Kenyan banks into those areas, really looking for the market. And so a number of Kenyan banks are now operating in all the 6 countries within the EAC, and including South Sudan.
Right.
And that, I think, is something that will continue well into the future. Yes. I think the risks are there, but banks are in the business of taking calculated risks. And as long as you don't take risks that are not well managed, I think it's something that banks will continue doing.
Right.
And as long as they don't expose themselves to the extent that you become, for lack of a better word, reckless in terms of your lending, in terms of your dealing with the customer, I think it's something that will be seen to continue into the nearby future.